Good morning, all you stylists from the break room. Good morning. What is going on? We are talking about the 90-second rule for keratin hair extensions. If you don't get it right in the first 90 seconds, you're doing it wrong. You messed it up. There is very hard to come back from that. Good morning, John. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, guess who's back?
Yes, he's back. Back again.
Did you miss me?
No.
I know you didn't. Talking to our people. What's going on, guys? You've got a 90-second window with that with your hair extensions before it just turns into a complete and total mess. I agree with you 100% on that, my friend.
So I've got this thing broken down. I've been doing some research and I've been looking online and I've been listening to people. We teach a lot of classes, and basically what it comes down to is I've got it broken down into a couple of topics and I've got a couple of points per topics. So I've written them down. I'm going to explain to you what the argument is.
Okay.
Or I should say some of its arguments, some of its ideas, some of its our thoughts or beliefs. Let's go through them and let's see what happens.
Sure. I'm in.
So the first one to tackle is all about speed. Just, faster, Rick and Bubby. It's all about speed, right?
If you ain't first, you're last.
Right? So for, the whole thing about talking about keratin bonds historically take time because they're individual strands that are going into the client's head. Therefore, it takes a long time to do it. And the longer you take, the better the job is supposed to come out because you're taking your time to do it efficiently and nicely. But with today's world, everything is about go, 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 go. So there is this new standard that's come up that people don't want to do keratin bonds unless they can bang out a full head in 2 hours or less. 3 hours tops. So now it's created this rift where you got some people saying anything under 3 hours, you are out of your mind, like you're just rushing and you're not doing it right. And then you got this other half of the people going, I can produce in 3 hours or less what it takes you 5 to 6 hours to produce. You're actually doing less efficient work, I guess. I don't know. Like that's really the whole thing is about efficiency is what everybody's arguing about. Okay. So that's the idea. That's the thought. Do you take shorter time equals better, or do you take longer time equals better?
Wow. You got me without words here for a minute because I can see both sides of it. But I'm going to go with I'm going to take the shorter time route on this because if you're organized, if you're efficient, and you can do the same quality work in, let's call it 3 hours instead of 6 hours, why not?
I don't. Consistency is the key to everything.
Right. 100%.
I don't care if you can do it in 2 to 3 hours, as long as you're consistent. If you're not rushing and you're consistently working at such a pace that you can knock it out in 2 to 3 hours, I don't see a problem with that. And then if you're consistently working and it takes you 5, 6 hours, I don't see a problem with that either.
I go the same way with you, but if and I'm going to use hair color as a point. Do you remember the first full foil you ever did?
Yeah.
How long did that take you?
Full foil took me a day and a half. The first partial I did took 4 hours. It was a disaster.
Okay. Now let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to tonight when you walk into the salon and your first one is a full. How long will that take you?
I have to mentally tell myself that I need to get it done in 30 minutes. Otherwise, I'd be banging them out in 15 because I have dedicated my career. I've told you the story of April, my first partial
I know.
paying client behind
Someday
tip.
April's gonna find you.
I wish I had a way of connecting with her again. I would love to tell her thank you. I'd love to reconnect with her. I'd love to tell her she probably, I don't know if she remembers or if she doesn't remember, but I would love to tell her how she single-handedly inspired my entire career to where I'm at now with highlighting especially.
Okay. So, but my point being with this is because you and I can go off on a color tangent and we'll talk for 2 hours about that. But my point being is that when you started, it was 4 hours for a hair for a full foil.
For a
Now,
partial. For a partial. That's what makes it even worse. It was just a simple T foil.
right. So I think, and because now, as you become more proficient in the service itself, less time, you get it done quicker. I mean, because myself, I have to remind myself now to slow down, because I just want to crank it and get it done and put them in. So I think as you become more experienced and you learn the tricks. Tricks aren't the right word, but we'll use the word tricks. When you learn the tricks of putting a bond in, a quality bond in, speed comes with it. So if you are, and to go back to your initial point, if you are giving them a quality hair extension service and you can do it in 3 hours, that's just more money in your. I mean, let's break it down to what we do. It's more money in your pocket, right? Or am I wrong?
We are not paid by the hour. This industry, I don't care who tells me what. The beauty industry is not an hourly wage job. It's a skill. You are paying for a skill. You're not paying for time. It takes us time to do things. We book things within a time block to reserve a certain amount of time for us to work within so we can feel comfortable and just keep it organized. Hairdressers have this very unique, this should be a whole nother podcast.
Here we go.
Is the whole relationship between time efficiency and service performance, and this industry has such a weird relationship with time standards, and it makes me absolutely freaking mental. With that said, this is something I teach in hair extension classes all the time, especially like the She hair extension, the keratin bond type extensions that I teach. In the beginning, it's going to take you a long time. You need to book 3-4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. I don't care how long you book. Eventually, you're going to get proficient. That's the word. Instead of tips and tricks, you're going to become proficient at doing
I like
it.
that.
And so therefore, it's not going to take you as long. So what? You're going to say, I'm going to charge this much because it's going to take me this long. And then if it doesn't take you that long, like a lot of hairdressers are like, I'm going to charge by the hour. You're an idiot. So, okay, you're going to charge $100 an hour. And it's going to take you 5 hours. You're going to make $500. And then you're going to get good naturally over time, just freaking because you're earning experience. You're gaining experience. So you're going to handicap yourself. You're going to gimp yourself because now it only took you 2 hours. So now what? You only get to charge $200 instead of the $500 it was charging before. In actuality, you were ripping people off before. You weren't getting paid more. Like I said, that, you know what? Seriously, a whole nother topic. We should just have a whole nother freaking time verse whatever. It pisses me off. Anyway, as it goes, you're paying for a skill set. And if you can give the client a good job and you can save them time so they can get on with their day and do something else, that's what they're paying for, that skill set. You're not paying for their time. If you really care about time that much, go become a therapist.
Right?
I,
Your time is up.
I don't know how else to say that. Yeah, I don't know. So that's
No.
that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you know, if you can, if once again, if you get proficient enough, I love that word. I'm stealing that word. If you get proficient enough, or if you're a knuckle dragger like I am, if you get good, um, you know, why not? Why not? You do it in 2 hours, and how about you stack three people up like that in a day at $500 a pop? That's $1,500 that you're earning inside of what? If you do three people, 6 hours. How many haircuts is that? How many haircuts is $1,500? You know,
Two.
it's, depending on what, yeah, if you charge what Eddie charges, yeah, but you get my point. Yeah, I was always told when I started in this almost 40 years ago, John, time is money.
Hmm.
Time is money, and if you can squeeze someone in, you squeeze someone in, because then there are going to be days you're sitting in your chair spinning. So yes, I firmly believe time is money, and if you can get it done quicker, and you can earn, but get it done quicker with a quality service,
No, that's
not
the whole
just
thing, right?
not just slapping, and we'll get to that. I'm pretty sure you have that on the list, where you're just not goobing them in, and you're actually putting a quality extension in.
Okay, so that's another point. Some people argue, oh, people's head shape, everybody has a different head shape, therefore you can't really follow a pattern. You just have to kind of figure it out head to head, and therefore that takes time. And then, I don't know, people like myself, I love head mapping. I talk about head mapping all the time. Every pattern, there's a pattern for whatever you're trying to accomplish, whether it's just filling in, it's volume, it's fullness, it's a full head, it's length, it's layers, whatever it is, there's a pattern for that. The pattern can get adjusted per head, but then I got people telling me, well, then you're just basically prove my point that patterns don't work. And then they're like, you should just figure it out head to head. You should just figure it out and just put it in wherever it needs it. You should go by feeling.
I see. I disagree highly with that statement. I think, yes, each head is completely different. But you have to map it out. And wouldn't you map it out in your consultation? When you do your initial hair consultation, and map it out. I mean, I'm old school. I still do the 5x7 cards for my colors, for my haircuts, for everybody, because I am the original ADD child. If you roll something shiny across the floor, I will chase it and forget what I'm doing. I couldn't tell you what I did yesterday. So when I do my hair extension consultations, I bring them in for a separate consultation, because we got to figure out how much hair this is going to need, right? And I map it out how I'm gonna handle this, because that helps also with being organized. Or am I completely off base on this? Yeah. Are you gonna have to adjust it? Yeah, maybe, but that's adjusting. You're adjusting an initial plan. You're not just flying by the seat of your pants. I've seen that. I've seen it with others, with other stylists, where they bring someone in, and they're just flying by the seat of their pants, filling in and doing that. Why wouldn't you develop a plan? Do you just attack ahead with foils? No, you know what you're going to do. You know where the part is. Yeah, no, I highly disagree with that. I think you need to head map.
Okay. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's weird. It's wild. I think head mapping, I think having a plan gives you a way to quantify how much time you need per section. Therefore, you can kind of figure out to be more efficient, which helps you become proficient. So I'm all in on that one. So
Well,
then the
yeah,
last thing I hear about timing all the time is the if you have two people working at the same time, so like if you're working on one side and I'm working on the other side of the head, then that obviously makes it go faster. And then the other side of that is that looks like a freaking disaster because one side of the head's going to look one way and the other side of the head's going to look another way.
in a conversation that you and I had not that long ago about this subject, and you brought up a great point because I made that face that I just made because what were we always told? Two people on a head, it's bad juju.
Bad
But
juju.
like you said, if you are trained the same way, right? And you've done your due diligence and you have a true plan, you have a head map out. If you're both doing the same, it shouldn't be a hot mess, right?
If you're both following the same technique, you both
Yes.
have proper training and you like actual proper training, then it should look very close. It's not going to be identical. We're not machines, but it
Right.
should be pretty damn close. It shouldn't look that off.
Right.
So it
Right.
shouldn't matter. You and I have worked on models for shows before. And the one thing I always say to you before we start doing it is, okay, which pattern are you going to use? Oh, you're
Right.
gonna use this pattern or that pattern. Okay.
Right.
Well, what's your weave? Which weave are you going with? When we're doing highlights, right? Which
Right.
weave are you going with? Oh, I'm going with a 5-strand, a 6-strand, baby lights, chunky, stripy, whatever.
Right. Right. Right.
How are you mixing? Like we go mix together at the same time, and then we're standing opposite each other. And then sometimes I'll even be like, yo, slow down a second. I'm only, halfway up and you're already done. Or,
Right. Right.
it's a
But
dance. You're dancing together. You gotta
yeah,
coordinate.
I agree. I agree. But I always love the case in point. I mean, I don't know if you remember when that we had that one model where you and I were crimping her, and she had that 5 tons of hair, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and we were using the crimping iron on it, and before we even started, we both agreed on how thick of a section are we going to take. What's the pattern we're going to do? Because if you're taking eighth of an inch sections and crimping them, and I'm taking half an inch sections, that's two different patterns. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using that as a for instance. So the same thing applies to hair extensions. If we have a plan, this is what we're doing. You communicate with a person. Yeah, there's no reason why it shouldn't work if you communicate and one of you doesn't get lazy, or one of you, or if you see something and you want to change something. Once again, if you communicate with that person, hey, near the occipital, we're doing this, or I'm using that just as an example. There's no reason why it shouldn't work, which then cuts down the timing. We're falling right back into it, cuts down the timing. But yeah, there's no reason that it shouldn't work. But if you're just going have at going ham, let's just get this done, get her out of here. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster.
So that's the first part of it, is all about timing and speed when you're approaching the application, right? Now
Right.
you're in the application. So now it's all the next thing is about heat. So some people believe if it ain't burning, it ain't working. You got to go as hot as possible. And then other people are like, well, you should make sure that your tool is like, change your tool often. Some people are like, if it's melting the bonds down, then it's working just fine. Like I said, if it ain't burning, it ain't working. And then other people are like, well, if it's starting to melt bonds, you should replace your tool. You shouldn't be melting bonds anymore. So it's a matter of, what do you do? Do you buy a new tool every so often, or do you see here? Because it's weird, right? We still have our original Solano from 30 years ago. That thing we've had that thing repaired 13 times. We're not letting it die. I got my favorite comb that I've had for so long until the tooth broke. Then I was like, I can't cut hair ever again because that one comb, you know.
And I'm going to defer to you on this. I think I'm going to get off track on it for you for just a minute. Okay, so your hair extension tool, and that's exactly what it is. It's a tool, right? So if you are not maintaining your tool, yeah, you're going to have to replace it. But what if you maintain your tool, take care of what makes you money? Um, but back to we're getting off track here. Back to what we were talking about. See, you taught me extensions, so in essence, I'm just a large bald version of you. But the point is that if you're boiling your bonds, that's not good. And if you're tap 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 tap, no, soften the bond, make it malleable, right? and you'll have bonds that last forever. Because if you've got your tool set at what 400 degrees, and you hit that bond, and you basically just disintegrating the bond, what happens inside that bond? That hair starts doing this, right? And then you kind of push it in place, but then that bond is actually broken up, and it's going to come out. You're going to have her calling you. Oh, I had 4 fall out back here. Right? And that falls right back to what we were talking about earlier, is doing a quality service. So with heat, soften the bond. You don't have to boil the bond. You don't have to turn it into just a piece of old chewed up bubble gum. Am I wrong? What are you smirking about?
You know what's so funny? You know what I'm realizing? So you have a wealth of technical knowledge about everything in the industry related.
Right.
And then when I taught you hair extensions, it wasn't a fair class to you. It was more of 2 buddies hanging out and 2 educators having a bitch fest of what other stylists do in classes. And it was just me showing you every messed up thing that I've ever seen somebody do that I've had to correct that behavior, right? So then you've seen the worst of every single possible scenario that can potentially happen. And this is something that I have to be extremely patient with when I'm teaching these classes, is because I don't know if it's natural human habit, like human nature. I don't know if it's like a psychological thing. I don't know if it's a fear. I don't know what it is, but I've seen people, they just naturally, without knowing any better, they'll just start tapping away at the bond. They won't just hold it down. They're like afraid to hold it down and let it warm up. And if you're running the tool at max temperature, and then you're having to tap it because you're nervous that if you leave the heat on for too long, you're going to burn through everything. I don't understand why psychologically thinking that makes sense. Why doesn't it equally make sense to just lower the freaking temperature down?
Right.
I don't understand why that thought never connects, and that's never an idea. And then I get the thing, well, if I lower the temperature, it's going to take too long to warm up the bond. So freaking what? If you only have to warm up the bond one time, is it really taking you that long versus having to warm up the bond, spider web it across the entire world, collect it all back together like cotton candy, piece it all back in, try to roll it up, and now it's half stretched and cockeyed in an L shape or whatever. Then you got to sit there and warm it up again and tap, tap, tap and spider web it all over again.
And you're destroying the keratin in the bond too.
I mean, you're losing half your freaking material from the bond. The other half of it's evaporated. The other half of it's strung out to I don't know where the hell, the 6 corners of the world. You're putting it all back together. How is that faster? I don't understand how that's faster. Just take your time, warm it up, let it spread. It's pliable. Just manipulate it down into the size you want it to be. Have it making contact with the cuticle. call it a day, move on to the next one. It's a lot
Right.
more targeted approach. And when I say lower the heat, the lowest a tool can get is about 300, 350, something like somewhere in that range, 3 to 350. So this idea of using 350 to 400 or more, we're not trying to flat iron hair.
Right.
You're not trying to compact the bond into the cuticle. You're just trying to have it share space alongside of it.
Right.
This is why, it's a whole nother topic for another day that we've talked about previously. Hair extensions does not cause damage. The stylist cause damage. There is a difference. This is a user or operator error, not a product deficiency. There's a huge difference between the two.
Right. Right. That, and I will add to that caveat, I'll put a caveat onto that, is that also not educating your client how to take care of their extensions.
Yeah, true.
And we use, when we talk about extensions a lot, we talk about Robin, because we made a world of difference in her hair with that. And Robin babies her, I'm just using her as an example, babies her extensions. I tell you what, these extensions still look, they're only about maybe 10% worn, and we just did a third reinstall. That's what it left. But anyway, but my point being is that if you educate your clients on how to take care of their extensions, they're going to get more wear out of them. It's going to look better on you. Yeah,
so
I agree.
keratin bonds. So using that as an example, that's a great example. Keratin bonds, generally speaking, last about 2 to 3 months or 4 to 6 months, depending on how well somebody can maintain them. Right.
Right.
Carmelina. The last time I put Carmelina's hair extensions in, you were asking me like, "Oh, did you put in a new set?" I'm like, "No, this freaking thing is going on 8, almost 9 months now. They're grown out to hell. She won't take them out." I'm like, "Let me freaking replace them." But then here's you and her telling me, "Yeah, they still look good." I'm like, "But they're grown." Like, I'm looking at the bond going, "They're so freaking grown out." You and her are looking at the hair going, "Oh no, it's still fine. Like she could still get some wear out of it." I'm like, it's freaking mental. It's freaking mental. So,
but she took such good care of those extensions that it still looked good.
I understand. Like I said, I was focused on the technicality of these bonds are overgrown way past what they should be,
Right.
She got hers money's worth out of it, and she got 3 other people's money's worth out of it.
And we keep coming back, and I keep bringing us right back to the beginning when we first started this conversation, is because it was a quality application. You did a quality service on her. Those bonds weren't fried, and they were put in, with a purpose, and she then took care of your work. So it's a hand-in-hand thing, guys. It really is. But we could be the greatest stylists on the planet. You could give them great color, great cut, all of this. If they're not taking care of it, they go home and shampoo their hair with Prel after you do a great color service on it. What's the color look like? You know what I mean? I mean, you do a great haircut, and then she decides to take her freaking cuticle scissors and touch up her banks. What does that haircut look like? I'm just saying. These are all things. It's all about also educating our clients, but also us being educated and being the professional. You always yell at me because I always compare what we do to doctors. Okay, so you have a upper respiratory infection. You get a prescription, right? Your instructions are written on that prescription, right? How to take them. Let's say you're still sick because you only take 1 antibiotic a day instead of taking the 3 times or whatever it was prescribed. What's the first question your doctor asks you? Did you take the medication the way you were supposed to? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Did you take care of your hair the way you were supposed to? We can do a great quality, job, but once they walk out of the salon, you're not following them around, are you? Well, I know you stalk some of your clients, but but the point being is that you have to take care of it too. They have to take care of their extensions and take care of their hair too. The work that we do. What's your next subject, Mister?
The next one is about bonds, about the bonds themselves. So a
Here we
lot of
go.
people believe that splitting the bond in half is the way to go. Putting in mini bonds, micro bonds, however, half bonds, however you want to refer to it as. A lot of people believe that if you're not splitting the bonds, then you're putting in too big of a piece of material into the client's hair. Therefore, you're doing a bad job because that takes you way too long. The other side of that is if you're splitting the bonds in half, that's taking double the amount of time because now you're having to put in two pieces instead of one piece. Therefore, that's taking too long. You shouldn't do that either. So there is the two thoughts. What do? Do you put in one full bond? Do you split it in half and put it in? Does one really take longer than the other? Is it the same amount of time? You're just doing in half minutes versus the full minute to put in one versus the two halves?
Here's my take on that. And I have a couple of. I'm gonna go sideways on you in a minute. Here's the deal. The size of the bond for me depends on the texture and the density of the hair. If you have super fine hair and a bunch of half bonds are going to look so much better than putting a bigger bond in, wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you, once again, and that goes back to your head mapping of deciding what you're going to do to where, yeah, no, but now on the side of that is I know people, and I'm not mentioning any names because that would be indiscreet, that if they take that bond and they clip it in half, they charge them. That's now two bonds that they're charging clients for instead of one.
Oh.
And
you're taking one, splitting it in half, and charging for two.
Right. So they can take 50 bonds, split them in half, and now they're charging the client for 100 bonds. I'm just using that. How
does that work? Is that is that a thing? Should that be a thing? Is that
I'm putting that to you,
stylist?
I'm putting that to you because I have such mixed feelings about that. Because I kind of feel like maybe you're ripping the client off a little bit. She's paid you for the hair, right? Right? So like when you do your initial consultation and okay, I'm going to put 3 packs of hair in you, right? So you charge her for the 3 packs of hair. So now in your head, what do? You go, oh, well, I'm going to split a bunch of these in half. So I might as well charge her for 5 packs of hair. Are you kind of ripping your client off a little bit? Or am I being a teetotaler?
Okay, I don't know how to answer you. So I'm going to say it this way. I've never done it. I've never ordered. I have ordered hair, cut it in half. I've even cut a bond down into thirds because of where I've had to place it and make it fit and work and blend and all of that stuff, right? I've had to do that, but I have never ordered hair. I've never ordered less hair, split it in half, and charged somebody for a full hair. Am I saying that correct? Yeah. Like I've never ordered 50, split them in half, and charged for 100. I've never done that.
Right.
If I've decided to do 50 strands, I've just put in 50 strands. If I've decided to put in 100, I've just ordered 100. And then, like I said, if I've had to split it, I've split it. Now, I don't know, because when you, okay, I can only use color as an analogy. When you buy a tube of color, it's either a 2-ounce tube or a 3.5-ounce tube. Like all nutrient that you use is 3.5-ounce tube.
Right.
You only use a 1/2 ounce to an ounce. So you could do 2-3 clients with one tube of color.
Mm-hmm.
When you're using lightener on somebody, that thing is like a tub of lightener is, I don't know, 15, 20 grams.
Yep.
Or 15, 20 ounces. And what are you using? A 1/2 ounce to an ounce per application, basically?
25 grams. A scoop is 25 grams.
Okay. So just shy of an ounce. So you're doing 20 applications with a tub of lightener, if it's a 20-ounce tub. I don't know, you buy a box of foil, it's got 1,000 sheets in it, and you only use in 30, 40, 10, 20, however many you need to use, right?
Right.
You saving the rest of it later to do it on somebody else?
I know, but because usually we have a flat price, No, I have adjustable prices though, because if it's 5 tons of hair and I've got to put 200 foils in their head, it's going to be a little more, than someone who I do a normal,
Maybe that's not a good analogy. I guess. Okay, you know what? That's really not a good analogy. Scratch that altogether.
Okay, everybody, forget about what we just talked about.
Yeah, because I'm confusing myself now. Hair extensions is a completely different service. So it's not a fair analogy. It's not a fair analogy. What are you paying for when you get hair extensions? You are paying for an amount of hair, and you're paying for an amount of service, application service. So which one are you actually paying for, though? Are you paying for a completed look? And that may take 50 strands, 80 strands, 100 strands, 150 strands to create that look. And if I order 150 strands, but I only end up using 120, I ordered 150 thinking that's what I would need to complete the look. And now I have leftover supplies. A builder, when you're getting a house built, an addition, a construction, a contractor, a tile work, you're getting your floors redone. They always order 10 to 20% extra material just freaking because Murphy's Law. That's a better analogy. And then you always have leftover material. Just standard by default. There's always going to be leftover material just in case, because you never freaking know. And it's better to have extra than to be short, because bless America, it's hell when you're short on material supply, and you need it.
That's why we all have the box with the extra extensions in it.
That's what I mean. Like any good extensionist always has extra hair on hand from somebody, from somewhere, from somehow, because you just collect. It just becomes a thing. And I'm not saying purposely over order an obscene amount every single time, but I always order one extra pack just in case, just because. I don't know. So what are you really paying for? Are you paying per strand? Because some stylists do charge per strand. So are you really paying per strand? Or are you paying, so you're not paying for a look anymore?
Well, but I think that, and once again, I would love to hear from somebody who does it that way and how they set up their pricing, because I charge my client upfront for the hair, and then I charge for installation. Now
you charge for the hair and then you charge installation. Okay.
So because okay, we're going to need, like I said, when I do a consult, I figure out, okay, I need 4 packs of hair. Okay. I'm using it as a number. Okay. So maybe in my thought process, I always add a little extra just in case. Maybe I get hit, I get a design idea, while I'm putting the extensions in or something. Or also what I like to do is then on that pack that I get, I write the client's name, because just in case she calls me and, oh, I had 3 or 4 come out, we were at the lake house, whatever. Okay. So then I have I'll come on in, let's put these in. You know what I mean? I have a box and I write their name on it with their phone number, just to make sure. And I just have to go through it. But back to the initial point of, they pay. The way I look at it is, my client paid for this hair, whether it's in her head now or the next time or whatever. She's paid for the hair. So if you're clipping it in half, and say now that 4 packs of hair, if you're clipping it in half and you're charging her for 8 packs of hair, that's kind of, at least in my opinion, and I'll get yelled at, and yeah, but that's kind of shisty, don't you think?
This is what I was trying to go with the color analogy, and it wasn't working very well. I only charge for a look. I don't itemize, like, you're going to pay this much for hair, you're going to pay this much for installation, you're going to pay this much for time.
Okay.
I just say, you're coming in on Thursday, I don't know, it might take 3 hours, it might take less, it might take more, give or take. It's going to take about 3 hours, give or take. And it's going to, it's going to cost about this much. And so, I mean, obviously I'm thinking about, how long is it going to take? How much hair do I need? And, how much work am I going to have to do to put it in? I am itemizing it mentally, all those things. But the final, I'm just giving one price to the client when I do my consultations. And I'm just saying, it's going to cost, you want this, it's going to cost this. You want to do it or not? Sometimes I price myself out of the work and I lose the client consultation. Sometimes I underbid, sometimes I overbid. It is what it is. That's what works for me. It makes me happy. I'm comfortable with that.
Right.
I teach the 3 methods, by the hour, by the strand, and by the service, when I'm teaching the classes, just for full disclosure, to be fair. And it's somebody learning. Everybody has to find their own way. Therefore, I order as much hair as I think I'm going to need. I always order a little bit extra. I do the work. If I end up using the hair, I do. If I don't end up using the hair, I don't. Then I have a bundle of hair. And then the next person comes in and they want a look. And if I have enough hair to do that look, I've got enough hair collected. If I don't have enough hair collected, I got to order more hair. It's kind of, that's what I was trying to do with the color analogy. Yeah. It's like, you have your color dispensary full of stocked inventory sitting there ready. I just have an inventory of hair extensions stocked and ready. And I'm just, replacing hair on hand. That's the difference. Okay. That's the difference. Right. No, I keep hair on hand. A lot of people don't keep hair on hand.
I don't. Yeah, no.
So they just order when they need it. Okay. Then in that case, if you're charging per strand and you're pricing somebody per strand and you're quoting somebody, I don't know how we're just using this as an analogy, for 100 pieces and you're only ordering 50 and splitting them in half to make 100, then I don't know. I don't like that. I can't. I need somebody to tell me how that makes sense so I can agree with it. Because right now, just saying it out loud, if you're quoting per strand prices, you're quoting somebody for 100, and then you're only ordering 50 and splitting them in half and then charging for 100. Is it because the person really needs half pieces? See? And then, because if the person only needs half pieces, they don't sell half bonds.
Right. But see,
I
here's
don't
that.
know, man. I don't know.
It-
We're off
it-
the rails. We are way off
yeah,
the rails.
we went sideways on this.
But we
Let's
went
just put
really
it this way.
sideways. What the hell are we talking about today? We're talking about the
Wait,
90-second rule today, man.
yeah, wait, but can I just encompass this whole thing and put it to bed? And actually, we're not.
You
If you
really hit me
do,
with a conundrum here now.
if you do, and we're not passing judgment on anybody, no matter which way you go with that. Just don't take it that
I'm
way.
trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to
Right,
figure out, like, I don't know the answer. So
right.
I can't say yes. I can't say no. I personally am confused right now. I don't know. Like, I'm going way technical and I'm going way creative. Forget about ethics. Ethics are freaking out the window right now because I don't know what the ethics are, because to me, there are so many variables involved. Is it
Right.
a situational thing? Is it really black and white? Am I overthinking it? Like, I'm way out there. I'm in the moon right now. I'm not even in the
Right.
atmosphere anymore, you know?
So hey,
I
but
need help.
bottom line is hey, if you're doing that and your clients and you're giving your client the quality service that they deserve, God bless you.
I mean, I guess there's a price for everything for everybody, right? Like, if you're doing
Everybody,
that and you're performing, I don't know. Yeah, if the client's happy and you're happy and everybody's making money and everybody's enjoying,
mazel tov.
I, I need help. I, I need help. I need it explained. I need
Eddie's
help.
in a conundrum.
I'm in such a conundrum. I don't know which way to go with this one.
All right, what's
What I
next
do
on
know
our
is
list here?
the whole topic at hand today was the 90-second rule. I do know that one. It's everything else we were talking about up until the pricing
Right,
conundrum. All
and then
feeds into the 90-second rule. If you are spending, in my personal opinion, if it's taking you longer than 30 to 45 seconds to apply a keratin bond, and I mean from start to finish, taking a section, taking the piece, putting the shield, putting the bond, warming it up, manipulating the bond, taking the shield off. That is one application of one bond. You should be striving for 30 to 45 seconds. That should be your sweet spot.
mm-hmm.
On average, okay, 30 to 45 seconds gets you into an application process 3 hours or less. That puts you if we're talking full head, because everybody loves talking about full head, 2 to 3 hours. A full head would take you 2 to 3 hours, 100 to 150 strands at about 30 to 45 seconds per bond, per strand. If it takes you 60 to 90 seconds, which is realistically the industry average, that puts you at a 3 to 6 hour application. Again, not wrong, not right, not better, not worse. I don't know. Some people have the hands to be able to just do like that and they're done and it only took them 30 seconds. Some people are still working consistently, but their hands just move more consistently. I'm not necessarily slower, because they're doing consistently every single strand at about 60 to 90 seconds, somewhere on average in between there. Then that puts you at a 3 to 5 hour application, 3 to 6 hour application. Then I guess, okay, fine. Then that's fine too, because you're still doing consistent work. If it's taking you 90 seconds and more, if it's consistently taking you a minute and a half and longer to section a hair, pull a piece of hair out to match the bond, put the shield in, warm up the bond, manipulate it, attach it, take the shield out, move on to the next bond. If that's taking you longer than 90 seconds, your body position is either really messed up, you're either reaching way too high, the client's too tall, or the client is too low, you're bending over too much, you're maybe not in front of your section, parallel with your section, you're probably standing off center, because when you're doing your application, what the hell is happening that it's taking you that long? Are you having to remanipulate your bond constantly? Why? Do you need more practice or something? Are you overheating the hell out of your bond and it's exploding and you're spending all this time recollecting it all the time? Like, what are you doing? Or are you sitting there and tapping and tapping and tapping? You're not generating enough heat to manipulate the bond properly. So you're just sitting there endlessly doing this for 30 seconds. And then even then, the bond is like, you ever feel those keratin bonds where they're half warm, half cool? They're not perfectly,
Mm-hmm.
know? So then you're sitting there and you're struggling and you're trying to pinch the hell out of it. Like, are you grabbing the hair, grabbing a bond, trying to line up the bond, and then you can't line it up nicely, so you're having to take the section and re-put the bond and try to get it close again. And like, how many times do you have to try to place the bond down? That's another thing I see. If this is the hair, they hold the bond. I don't have anything that I can hold right here right now. But like, they hold, like, if this is the tip of the bond, they hold it this close. They don't hold and leave a little bit of space. So then by the time they put the tool, they're burning their fingers. So they're having to like readjust again. I mean, that wastes a lot of time too. You know, that's not consistent, efficient. You are not proficient at doing hair extensions, at applying hair extensions. So the longer it takes you, if it's taking you more than 60 seconds to 90 seconds, you are doing way too many extra steps and it is messing you up. It's throwing off your whole mojo. What is that called? I call it degenerative return. What is that called when you mentally start getting exhausted and it's hard to focus anymore on the task, excuse me, at the task at hand? You know, like sometimes when we're blow drying somebody who has hair, you know, like way too much hair, and halfway through the blow dry, you're like, I got nothing left. I don't know how the hell I'm going to get through the rest of this blow dry. Or you're foiling somebody, you know, you're doing services. It's the same thing with extensions. By the time you get done with one side of the head, and now you got the whole entire other side, and because it's taking you so long per bond, you're like, we're going to be here all night. Like, you're just, what is that called when you're just
I call it getting brain fried.
Brain fried. Yeah. You get brain fried, right? If it's taking more than 90 seconds to do a strand, you're going to get brain fried after about 30 to 50 strands, which is only, you know, what is that? A third to a half of the way through the job. You know, the average hair in the Midwest full head is about 100 to 150. Down south, it's like 150 to 200. You know, and then on the coasts, it's somewhere in between those numbers.
Right.
And then Florida is just a whole nother world in itself.
Look, I liken it. I remember, and you gave that same speech to a stylist that we were working with, where I remember him taking the parting, combing, then combing, then taking, you know, it was 50, you know, he was combing the hair like 50 times for each bond. And you were like, you are killing time. You're wasting time. It's you know, it's just like anything else that we've learned doing this job. It is you do quality and then quantity comes. So if you set yourself up to win, eventually you'll get good and fast. And it's the same thing with putting bonds in. You know, take your time, do it the right way. Do it the right way. Do it the right way. As you become proficient, that's our word for the day, proficient kids. As you become proficient, your speed will increase. Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And I will be the consummate educator here and go education. And there is nothing wrong with going back for a refresher, because all of us develop bad habits behind the chair. We all have them. No one is perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We all develop bad habits, and there's nothing wrong with going back and taking a refresher and seeing, oh, wow, I forgot about that. I didn't, it won't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It's only going to increase your value behind the chair. And not only financially will it'll also help you with getting brain fried, getting physically. We didn't touch on that other than you touched on bad body position, but physically think about not doing things the right way, what that does to you over time. That's why I walk like Frankenstein and Eddie walks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Play.
But Eddie's up in the bell tower. Dang. No, but it's the same thing. Your body position also has a lot to do with it too, with being.
You just blow on it. You just and you're fine.
Well, the problem is I got to wrestle it away from the dog for me.
Yeah, right.
But so hey guys, we hope that we gave you some information today. We hope that we helped you out. If you like what we do, please visit us htbbeauty.com. That will help massively. And I guess we're going to be back. The boys are back. We'll be back next week with some more fun and exciting things for you. Check out the HTB Beauty website, htbbeauty.com. We got a bunch of cool stuff. We've got some awesome stuff for breast cancer awareness on there too, guys. So check it out.
Yeah, go get checked. Go tell a friend to go get checked, right? Be aware, participate, all right? Go out there and make a difference, one client at a time. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Peace.
The SFTB podcast was not recorded in front of a live studio audience, so thanks for joining us for today's episode. If our hair topics made you smile, give us a thumbs up. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll read them while waiting for our caller to process. Share this video with your stylists and friends. It helps us make a difference, one strand at a time. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Because your hair deserves all the latest and greatest tips.